Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to have a conversation between two people that are part of Onra's Blasphemers Bible study. So that's where the title comes from. Before we start, I did want to take the opportunity because I've had conversations with a few people that I only interact with on YouTube. So yeah, things happened, and as you know, I wanted to confront a certain YouTuber called Power Word with my rebuttal, and this happened exactly as I predicted, because I had said that if I was going to confront him, he would try to make that not happen. And guess what? This happened. If I held his feet to the fire, he would try and delay it as long as possible. That also happened. And when he finally got convinced that he needed to listen to my rebuttal, he would want to speak first in order to rebut my rebuttal before I even made it. That also happened. I told people that if I got too much delayed, I would just say, okay, we'll do it another time. That also happened. And I predicted that even if he said that he didn't have the time to do this rebuttal, he would then stay on for at least half an hour rebutting me after I left. And that also happened. So I got 5 out of 5. I've never been this good before, but we'll see. Apparently, it's going to happen some other time, but you'll have to wait for me to send a link, because now I'm going to wait for an invite as to when it will happen. Okay, so that was my quick message to the people that are following me. So let's go to our guests for tonight. Or this afternoon or this morning, wherever you might be, anywhere on earth. We have Mighty Chicken. Mighty
Hello.
Chicken, how are you doing?
I'm a little tired. I have my coffee in me, but otherwise I'm okay.
Okay. And
sorry
we have
for showing up last minute.
And we have PTown. Yeah. You cut it close, but you're here, so
Craig took an extra minute. I enjoyed my sleep this morning.
See, that's why you need to live in the Netherlands, because it's 6 p.m. here, so you would have been wide awake already. Okay, so we didn't actually agree on a specific topic, which we could have done before the show, but we didn't have much time because, P-Town slept. No problem. So I'll just leave it to you. People in chat, if you have questions, tag me in, and I will try and get the questions in. If it's okay with you guys, if I take questions during the conversation, I'll try not to interrupt too much. But if people have questions for you, is it okay for me to pull those up during the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mighty Chicken, what do you want to talk about?
So
I was actually going to start asking you first if you have any questions for me, knowing what we talk about all the time on the Blasphemers Bible.
Do I have any questions for you? Well, I did want to take an opportunity to apologize. I know that one of the shows I said something that triggered you, and I didn't mean to. And
Okay, we can talk about that a little bit if you want. Why do you think it triggered me? And you also wish to say what you said to me before for the people who have not watched that episode?
Well, I think, wouldn't it be better if you said what you thought I said?
No, because you're the one that said it.
So sounds like I'm triggering you again, Mighty Chicken. Like I don't
Please
know how else to bring it
answer
out there to
the question that I asked you to do just now.
All right, I will guess to
Thank you.
I will. I don't remember fully. Let's see here. So from my perspective, there is a spiritual warfare going on that coincides with also logic, that also coincides with the way that people perceive the world, the way that they approached epistemology or approached how they learn things or in what they consider knowledge. And part of that, in essence, I refer to as the adversary. So I think when I made the comment that the adversary has, he's he has you where he wants you to be. Pertaining to that topic, it was, excuse me, I think going off the top of my head, I think it was regarding the supernatural and the natural man. Most atheists, just as I was, operate in the realm of what the Bible would call being a natural man. And when it comes to there are some people that get, and I'm not one of them except for one experience in my life, pretty much. I'm not gifted with experiencing anything really supernatural.
Okay.
Some people are, and in that moment, for some reason, I was saying, I don't think that the adversary will have you experience anything supernatural because you already don't believe in God.
You also don't know my history, though.
Correct.
And so the reason why, and I don't like to say the word that I was triggered. So I guess I was triggered, I should say. But there's a very specific reason for it. You made a baseless assumption about my position, the things that I know, based upon something that you thought that I was, and you have no knowledge about my history or my past or my experiences with religion of any kind. And so the reason why I was so pissed off is that you made a blanket covering comment that expressed what you considered to be my position without any evidence to support your claim that I was being affected by this adversary, or as you said, Satan, specifically is what you said. So I have a couple questions about what you just mentioned here. I wrote them down. I'm going to be doing notes frequently. So you say that there is a spiritual war between logic that affects the knowledge of what we know to be true, and that the adversary is behind it. Can you explain that in more detail to me, specifically what you're referring to?
Yeah, I can try. It's very difficult to explain, and it's partly why I use the solar eclipse example often, knowing that how foolish I look in the eyes of the atheists, all 17 of them in the chat.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I missed what you said. So you said the solar eclipse and what else?
I will. That's why I often use that as an example. It's an example of how we can observe something that is the same. For the most part, of course, people will argue with that, even take the stance that it's something different than what it is. But
Okay, I'm sorry.
approach,
I don't wish to interrupt you here. It's not my intention.
but yeah.
Okay, fine. Yes, you want to play this game, we can, or we can just get to the point here.
It sounds like you're the one playing a game, my chick, and this is why I was hesitant. This is why I put this off for a month, because I think that you're here. I'll tell you, part of the spiritual battle, I think, is because you have a more of an emotional approach to logic than I do as a Christian. I'll just throw bombs at you. I'll be honest with you. I think that part of the spiritual aspect,
you're being honest with me.
You have an emotional appeal away. You have an emotional reason not to believe in God. So tell me your story, and let's see if it's true. That's just me being judgmental.
Wow, you're really making a lot of assumptions about me right now, sir. And that's showing your wonderful condescension here. But I'll play this game.
Well, you're the one who wants to play this game.
No,
so,
you literally started off by the very first things that came out of my mouth. You thought that I was being triggered from the very beginning, and I was just talking to you. So you chose to be, you're the one that's actually triggered by me being here, which I find fascinating to me, which actually shows that you probably don't have a lot of ground to stand on. So let's start there. So I come not from an emotional point, as you have just declared. I do have a lot of things that have shown to me through emotions also that this cannot possibly be what you think it is. But I'll say this: logic is everything about what we know to be true in the world today. We see the things around us that we can verify to the best of our ability what these things are. We can physically, tangibly look at something and figure out the origins of a thing to a certain level of acceptance through various different processes, such as the scientific method. And I'm going to ask a question now that I've said that. Do you know what the scientific method is?
I do.
Can you repeat it to me, please?
Well,
Take your time.
let's see. You'll start, I believe you start with a hypothesis. You would develop a way to test that hypothesis. Then you collect data and come up with a theory. Forgive me, I'm not a big fan of the scientific
You might
method.
wish to choose to become one, because that will help to get you back onto the path of reason and logic and away from these beliefs that you seem to have. The physical thing about, no, I want to explain this real quick. You can go ahead and rebuke that and say that I'm being pedantic or whatever, but I'm going to just go ahead and get to the point here. The scientific method specifically, and I pulled this off of various websites. There's multiple different ones. There's ones that are 5 methods. There's ones that are 6 and 7, but they all are roughly the same thing. And you can search this up to your heart's content to confirm this as you see fit through all the different sources that are available. The process is defining a question to investigate something. As scientists conduct their research, they make observations and collect data. They make predictions based upon that research and observations. Scientists will come up with a hypothesis. So that was correct so far. The last one would be, or the second one would be, or the third one, sorry, would be gathering that data and then analyzing that data and then drawing the conclusions from that data. Other ones will say that you can then repeat it, which is also acceptable. But this is the basic standard for how you do this. This is how we see our world. This is what we have done literally as long as humans have been around. The problem is, though, is that there is a lot of times when people get very afraid of not understanding something, and because of that fear, they jump to conclusions to explain things away to feel better about their lives or whatever else other reason might be. So we have multiple ages throughout history that go through various different parts of our existence that talk about how our world came to be. And we have evidence of the scientific method being used. And when we see that, that's when you see advancements in society. Without these methodologies, we wouldn't have advancements. We wouldn't have had civilization of any kind. We wouldn't have gone away from our hunter-gatherer roots to make cities and towns. We would not have started to figure out how to talk collectively, to be able to write things down and to explain the world around us. Now, a lot of times gods and goddesses and things of that nature were shoved in to make sense of things that were not explainable, but people continue to start asking questions, saying, I'm not really sure that Zeus throws down a lightning bolt from the sky. There's something different about this, or whatever else it might be. We even had a period called the Age of Reason. The reason why it was called the Age of Reason is because people started stepping away from the accepted biblical views across the world and started to ask more questions and look at things through a scientific method. And this is the reason why we know what planets are, as opposed to stars and things being lights in the sky, like the Bible says. The scientific method is everything about how we are where we are to be able to even talk to each other right now over the internet. And so when you apply the same process that we have done with everything else that we have done to get to our point here, to say the Bible, and I'm going to make the assumption here, because I remember you saying this, that you said that you follow the King James Bible version. Is that correct?
I use all the versions. I like the King. I think that it's important that Christians rally around scripture so when we communicate,
So which one do you follow the
Excuse me.
most? Which one do you trust the most?
I like to go to the Greek and the Hebrew. I have a particular website that I use.
Well,
Not
okay,
many
that's
people
good
use.
because I remember you mentioned that you like the King James, in which case I'm glad that that's not the case, if that is true, because the King James is possibly it is the worst example of the Bible that you could use. It is the worst translation and misinterpretations of everything from what the original writers, wrote in there. So if you apply this methodology to the Bible and try to follow along everything that's said in the Bible, things don't add up like they do in the rest of the world that we can verify with this. So I know that you said that the adversary or Satan or whatever you want to call it is in my head, guiding this because of a spiritual war of logic with effects to knowledge, as you wrote, or as you said.
Well, I suppose
You have to be able to express why that is, and you have to explain why that is to a reasonable level to show other people that this is true. Because I can't know what's in your head just as you cannot know what's in my head. The old saying of, if you don't show it, you can't know it, is a very appropriate thing to say here. Are you a young earth creationist specifically, by the way?
I would say so. Yeah, yeah. I do. I believe that
So,
that's what the Bible says.
so the earth was created 6,000-ish years ago, roughly, minus a Tuesday or two.
Yes.
See this picture behind me? Do you know where this is?
No.
Have you ever heard of a place called Göbekli Tepe?
Yes.
Do you know what Göbekli Tepe is?
Is that the one in Turkey? City
That's
buried
right.
under the sand. Right. No.
Well, the soil and the dirt, yes. But do you know what it is?
Yes. Well, I think so. Yeah.
You want to tell me what it is?
I know. It's a town or a city. They've excavated, I think, a decent amount of it, but I'm sure not the total amount of it. It's dated to
It's
be
not
about
a
10,000 years
town.
old, I think.
It's not a town or city. It's actually about 12,000 years old. It was a circle, well,
It's
10,000 roughly.
it's shaped in like a circle, right? I
It's
haven't
roughly
been there,
shaped.
so I don't know.
Well, it doesn't. You don't have to be there. I mean, my gosh. I mean, I haven't been there either, but we know what it is. You don't have to be at a place to know something is real. So this place is confirmed to be around 8200-ish BC to around 9600 BC, give or take
Oh,
about
I had a
1,000
pretty
years.
good guess.
Yeah, that was actually a very good guess. So the problem is that directly goes against your opinion. Is 6,000 years old, created by God. And the reason why we know this site is for various different methodologies of dating, and that we have used in multiple different places across the world. Can you please explain why this site exists?
Wait, hold on a second.
Take your time.
You've brought up how I don't know the scientific method, which isn't true.
You definitely don't.
You're bringing up you're bringing up so many topics here. I don't even know where to begin. While
Take your
you're
time. I've
simultaneously
got
trying
an
to
hour
push
and a
me in the
half.
corner.
Please. Oh, I'm not pushing you in the corner. I'm showing you your
First,
fallacies right from the very beginning. Please
what
continue.
I want to know is what part in your history caused me to trigger you so much so that you have a giant attitude?
Answer my question first, please. I'm not going to let you divert. Please answer. What do
You've
you know
brought up
about Göbekli
5
Tepe?
topics already.
I'm
I
asking you
just told you
directly.
it's a place where there's some rocks in dirt that
There's some
modern
rocks in dirt.
okay
Is
where there
okay. Please continue.
it's an old town or city, I'm
It's
guessing,
not a
or a
town.
monument. I can't
It's not a
remember.
city.
I've seen pictures where it's shaped in a circle. Okay, I don't know. All right. But
Thank
I
you for
know.
saying you don't know. That's the first honest thing you said all day.
Hasn't it been
Continue.
clear that I've been saying that I don't fully know, but I do know it's been dated to about
So how
10,000
do
years
you
old.
know? How do you know then that the Bible is real if you don't know things like this that disprove the Bible from the very beginning?
What I'm saying is I'm aware of what the modern scientific community has dated it to be around 10,000 years old. I understand that it is a contradiction according to the Bible. I'm saying that they might be wrong.
They're
That
not
I
wrong.
have more evidence to believe in the Bible.
There's no evidence in the Bible that will support your claim. Why do you think that dating method is considered acceptable in the world today?
Sorry, repeat that? Why do I think
Do you know
that the dating
do you
methods
know
are
how
not
we were able
acceptable?
I'll change my statement. Do you know how we were able to confirm relatively comfortably the age of Göbekli Tepe?
The specific dating methods there, they probably use a number of them.
That's right, they
But
did.
yeah, that's typically how it works. I don't know if they found anything that they could carbon date. I'm not sure.
They did. They
They
found
did,
various
yeah.
different tools and other
Okay.
forms of antlers and things that were confirmed to be at a certain date. Yes.
Which I would presume, yeah. Okay. Is that the primary mechanism that they've used to date Göbekli Tepe?
They've used, that's one of the multiple different methods that they use. They also use strata. They also used local, well, they didn't have local records, so the two major methods were used were those as far as I'm aware of. I can get more information to confirm that. I might be wrong. I'm sure someone in the chat might actually have something to add to this, which would be fine. We used these things, and I know that a lot of young Earth creationists really cringe whenever we say this, but carbon dating, carbon-14 dating is the main method that's used to confirm these things.
Correct.
And before that's waved away, it's been used multiple times on things that we have been able to confirm through other methodologies to show that things are true, including dates and information that are garnished from other civilizations on written record, as well as star maps and other things to also confirm the dates of things. And then we use the carbon dating to go against that too, plus the way that things are layered inside of the Earth. We understand how those things work very, very confidently to say that there is a gap of about maybe 300 or 400, maybe a little more of years that a location could be. And we find various different things to confirm that there are things that existed at this point. And because of the where it's located and buried, and it has not been touched as far as we can tell for at least that long, it's a very empirical way of stating that a place is a certain age. Even places in the Bible have been confirmed in the same methodologies by some creationists. And that claim I will have to search for. I have heard it and I have seen it and read it. I do not have it at hand, but that can be used too. So the problem I have is that whenever I hear someone say that the Earth is 6,000 years old, it cannot possibly be that way unless you completely forego the evidence that we have. Do you understand where I'm coming from with this?
I do.
Okay. So what do you have to say about that?
I do. It's not easy being what you would call a young Earth creationist, especially coming back from the background that I had. I would say, before I became a Christian, I would even argue that there's evidence that civilization can be much older than Göbekli Tepe. That was my position before I became a Christian. If you look at the time, I remember learning about the Sphinx in Egypt, because you have the water damage. We know it hasn't rained for a certain period of time.
That's
right.
Careful with that. That's a bit of a, you're going into conspiracy theorist territory with the Sphinx, so be very careful about that. There's lots of controversy around that last 20 years.
Right. I understand that it's
okay,
and also in opposition to what all the scientists are beating their drum to now. But anyway, my point is, what I was saying is, that was my position before I became a Christian. Now I'm not an expert when it comes to carbon dating. What I see when they say that there's this, I don't even know what you want to call it, this archaeological site in Turkey that's been dated to be 82 or to 9,600 years old. They're not sure, but it is obviously more than 6,000 according to their dating methods. I think it's noteworthy. I think it's important to look at that data. I don't have all the knowledge.
So is Tel Carmel, so is the Tower of Jericho, so is Çatalhöyük, so is Kircha, so is Durin Kulak, Parapikran, as well as a bunch of other locations, including even in France of Saint Michel Toumas, are all dated prior to the events that happened in the perceived creation of the Earth based upon the 6,000 year preface.
But see,
If I may jump in real quick, we have a question from the panel that might also be helpful in this conversation. Anton Gomez asks, I have a question. Was PTown really someone who rejected the proposition of God, truly not be convinced of it, an atheist, or did he just not look at the belief too closely, i.e. an agnostic believer?
The reason why I called myself an atheist because I was definitely open to the possibility of there being God. There wasn't any or significant evidence, and I was vocal against it. So that's why, I saw there was damage. I mean, I still position that religion in many forms has been very detrimental to society. I used to have the similar beliefs that my chicken has. I think
what changed?
He says, I realized it wasn't true. You brought up.
How so?
Go ahead. So you brought up. What did you call it? Did you call it the Enlightenment, right? Or
the Enlightenment
the Age
era?
Of Reason, right? Okay.
The Age of Reason, yes.
This idea that religion, right, was holding back our progress, and then once we got rid of religion, kept religion from holding us back, then we learned about the stars and the planets, and we've moved forward as a society. I agree.
Do you know what happened to Galileo?
Right. I agree with you in part, but what I do know what happened to Galileo. What I'm trying to say is what actually is the case is that this Catholic Church or these religious ideologies are very similar to how our scientific community is now. They wanted to keep beating the same drum, and through their scientific method of you can only stem off of what we think we already know, because that's why it's in a little circle, it's a little cog. You can't bring in new ideas and new information. You have the only way that you can push this down the road. It is.
I have to interrupt you. I know I have to interrupt you.
You've been great about interrupting me the whole entire time.
I'll keep on doing it if you keep on making errors and mistakes, and you're making a big one right now. Yes, you are.
I'm saying a fact. It is Christians. Christians were the greatest scientists, by the way, and have progressed society forward.
Christians
Galileo
were
was a Christian.
Yes, he was.
Newton,
and the reason why,
he's a Christian. He spent more time studying his Bible.
He was, because that's what was expected at the time. But the thing is,
for your idea to say that Christianity, it's not Christianity that held back our society. No, Christianity has propelled our society.
You're making
a religious
dogma right now.
It's the religious dogma, just like in your scientific community, where you just want to appeal to authority constantly. You don't know.
How dare you appeal to authority? You appeal to God.
You don't know how to date. You play tap play. Yes,
I can. Okay. All right. I'm going to explain something to you now about this. No.
You must say we know, but you don't know, Mighty Chicken. You're an English teacher. You don't.
Yes, I am. I am also I'm also a polymath, which means I've studied a lot of different things, not just English. I happen to teach English right now. So just stop for a second, because you're wrong about this. Flat, blatant wrong. Now I have to think about what I was saying here because you distracted me from my thoughts. Give me a second so I can think about this. Specifically, what was I saying? Well, you did a good job of gish galloping me, so I can't think correctly here. You were talking about scientists being Christian. Let's start there. Maybe I can get my thought back. Scientists who were Christian because that's how the entire society expected you to be. And also, excommunication was a massive, massive strength in that time period. In not just Catholicism, but a lot of different beliefs too. If you try to go outside of the ideas of what the church does, then things like what happened to Galileo happened. Okay, he had to repent everything, and thankfully we didn't lose all of his works at the very end of his life, because he was threatened excommunication and exposure. A lot of other people and scientists in history were literally murdered, burned at the stake for heresy. And you're saying that scientists, like Newton and everyone else that they were Christian, you're right. He was also an alchemist. Do you believe in alchemy? I don't think you do, because that's foolish, because alchemy is a bullshit science. It's also doing the same thing that Christians do, is that they
where they
start
make
off with a
gold?
hypothesis, or they start off with an idea of what they think it is, and then work backwards, as opposed to trying to observe something and then figure out why something is the way it is. So please don't say that. And also,
No, I'm going to
again,
say it
do
again.
not
I'm going to say it
assume-
again. Your modern scientific community, who all want to beat the same drum, it's because they have to. It's because it's become a religion. It has become a religion.
Shut the
You're
hell up with
religious.
that.
You're religious, my chicken.
You
Yeah,
are
because
also
you don't know anything about how to date Göbekli Tepe. You're an
Okay.
English teacher.
You son of
Okay,
a
but
bitch.
you're
All
gonna
right,
be,
so
but
we're
you're
not
gonna
getting
appeal
that.
to
All right.
authority,
No, I'm not.
and the whole time in
No,
the
I'm
next
not.
hour that we're gonna have this.
So I want to explain one
Yeah.
very big fallacy you just made here. And first of all, we are not a religion. Mr. Ken Ham would love to hear what you have to say, as well as Kent or whatever his name is, Kent Hovind. I'm sure he's just loving this right now. We do not have a religion. It is not a belief. It is not a belief of any kind. I do not believe in anything. I trust the things that I observe. I trust my family, my friends, the people I read about, the things I learn about, the places I physically have been to. I trust the things that I learn because I can verify everything. And now you say, I'm just an English teacher. Well, first of all, fuck you. Secondly, I can do anything I wish. I'm a polymath. I've learned and studied a lot of different subjects. And the most important thing is that if I chose to, at any point, and you can too, you can go to Göbekli Tepe. You can go to Egypt. You can take the courses in school to learn these things. You can do the studies and all the experiments. You could become a scientist. You could go into space and you could observe everything yourself. The physical possibility of you being able to do these things is verified. You can do this. Anyone can. Unless they have a physical disability that they physically cannot do it. But they can do everything. We trust the people of the past. You do the same thing. You trust the people in the Bible. How do you know what they said was true? You just go blatantly on what this Bible says? You're appealing to authority a hell of a lot more than I do. I never said one thing about any one person ever. This entire conversation, nor have I ever said anything about anybody. Because I do not appeal to authority. I appeal specifically to the things that we can verify and have the ability to verify.
If I can jump in real quick, I really want to
Now I'm
break.
triggered.
That's why I jumped in. I really want
the
to.
way you wanted it, Mighty.
No,
Not me.
guys, hold on for just a second. So this is why I jumped in. Let's bring it down just a little bit, because I know both of you are passionate, but we need to see if we can do this without the passion taking over. So I have a few more questions from the side chat, which probably fit in pretty well right now. So I wanted to throw those in for a second. Brojo asks, why did PTown believe in an old Earth before becoming a Christian? I think that lines up with maybe trusting science. I don't know.
Yeah, I loved dinosaurs as a kid, right? I mean,
I'm going to ask you about that later.
I love learning from my dad from a very young age. We took, I'm not very good at talking, but I'm pretty good at putting together puzzles sometimes. And so at a really young age, when he taught me about the speed of light, like how the closest star is still millions of years. Well, actually, I can't remember how I remember him just teaching me about how it's taken millions of years for light to travel to us. I think I can't remember what the closest star. I think maybe it's 6 years it takes for light to get to us.
Just a quick question.
It's Alpha
or
Beta Centauri.
But even at a young age of say 4 or 5 years old, you can defer that the Earth is, according to what my dad has taught me just about light, that it has to be really old. right? Or the universe. When I say world, I mean the universe that we live in, what we're observing.
I'd have a
I don't know
follow-up
where to
question.
begin with that.
I'd have a follow-up question, real quick. My own question. So, do you now think that he lied to you?
No, of course not. No, I mean it's
Okay, this.
Well, that was another tricky thing for but I take these things that we know or that we can observe, and I'll go to scripture with it. If you would say if there's an obvious contradiction, I didn't even look at the Bible. There's no reason to look at the Bible if you have to believe that the earth we it's, according to scripture, 6,000 years old. That's ridiculous, right? The universe. Well, when I finally went to it, if you notice that God says that he made, there's a contradiction there, that he made this the lights before he made after he made the light. The point is even
what made God?
Well, hold on. I have to interrupt.
According to the Bible. I was surprised.
I have to interrupt because I don't think that was the question. The question was, why did you believe in an old earth? Not why you believe different now.
Fine. From a very young age, I was taught about how light travels, how it has a speed, and you can defer that the world, in terms of the universe that we observe, is apparently older. Yeah, there's no question.
Do you know who played with light first that we know of?
Played with light first? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. Studied it, worked with it.
You mean to try and measure it?
He never completed his work, but he worked in it towards the end of his life. Do you know who it is? You mentioned his name earlier.
Hold on. I do have
was
one.
It Newton? I don't know what question you're asking me. We all use light.
Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton.
That's what I said.
Newton, yeah. He was measuring light for the first time that we know of.
I do have another question.
Long after his death, I believe it was.
I do have another question from the chat, and then I'll let you guys go. It lines up with the previous one. H.L. Aristoteles said, "Is PTown also a flat earther? If not, why? His Bible says the earth is flat."
No, it doesn't. I'm not a flat earther.
Well, actually, the Bible does.
You're not an idiot, then.
But the Bible does say that the earth is flat. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
The four corners of the earth. Look it up.
The earth is a circle, not a sphere. There's a slight difference between the two. And we have Tomer in the side chat. I do think that the Hebrew had a word for sphere at the time the Bible was written. But I'll let you guys continue.
Well, okay, since I don't know where we're going to here, I'll just stem off of Newton, since you brought up Newton last. Okay, Newton spent more. He was phenomenal. He was brilliant. I don't think you would argue with that. He's
also an asshole, but yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know anything about that, but he spent more time studying the scriptures, and I don't have a quote or anything, but his view when it came to science and the Bible was that there's knowledge in that book. Not for us to use it necessarily so we can go use it to predict discoveries that we'll have, not necessarily, but for when we have discoveries, when we learn new things, then we can go back to scripture and go, oh, look, God was right. And there's a lot of examples where this has happened. Sometimes you have to take a step back to see it, but and realize, like here, you're talking about playing with light. If you're gonna first, the idea that light has a speed and is not instantaneous is somewhat of it's definitely a relatively recent observation or conclusion that we have. It wasn't always that way, and it's important to remember that. But if I remember correctly, that is something that the Bible says about light. At one point, I remember
The speed of
getting
light
that
was
idea.
actually first identified by a Danish astronomer called Ole Romer in 1676. So that's false by definition. Continue,
No, it's
please.
not. 1676 is recently
1676 is not recent.
is
That's
relatively recent, is what I'm referring to. Yes, it is.
that's
That's
how
less
old is that? How many centuries is that, sir?
350 years ago.
Right.
My math is right.
You're right. Your
350
math is
years
correct.
ago, but when but
That's
when
not recent.
when yeah, it is relatively recent when you're talking about, and you're just going off of your dates instead of mine. Göbekli Tepe, that's 9,000 years ago, right?
Well,
This
yeah,
is
in comparison to
300
that, of
and some
course, it's
change.
recent, but that's
That's
not the
why I
same.
said relative. So for you to go and tell me you're blatantly wrong again,
You are
like
blatantly wrong again
you're
because
just
that's not a
missing.
recent thing.
It
Because
is
for the last
relatively
350 years, we have
recent.
learned more about scientific study. In fact, the last 20 years alone has shot us in ways we never could have imagined because of our computing capabilities. So that's just blatantly wrong,
What I'm saying is,
flatly.
you have, if we go off of the premise that the Bible describes that light has a speed, that it's not instantaneous, and
Where
Scripture's
does
been
it
around
say
for a
that?
lot longer. I can't
No, I
remember off
want
the
you.
top of my
No,
head.
you.
I
Okay, well, if you make a claim,
I
you
did
have to
say
say
that in
that's
the
a very
beginning,
big
that
claim.
I did say, okay, so it's a big deal. It is a, can we, what I'm saying is, can we have this
Please only say
conversation based
things that
on
you
that
can
assumption?
share with me directly that I don't have to do
Oh,
research on, because I'm not going to
okay.
be able to refute what you have to say. Do you understand?
What I'm saying, you said it's a big claim. So would it
It
be
is.
significant to you if the Bible did allude to that light travels at a speed? Would that be significant to you? Would that be a prediction? Would that be scientific?
That's okay. No.
No, it still would be.
No.
So what's the point on me going and doing
Absolutely.
it here? This is okay. So it's absolutely, it would mean nothing to you, right? Just like,
It's
okay.
not that it would mean nothing to me, because I'm sure that we would have to look at the context of what they're talking about to understand it. Now, this is what I was trying to say. Things
Why?
that
Why would we have
might be
to? That
because
wasn't part of
things
the premise.
on from a scientific point of view. If you find things in the Bible that are scientifically shown to be probably accurate, there's this thing called a source. And I mentioned this last time that we were talking. The
You're
last time I
going off
spoke with you.
topic.
Oh, I'm very much not going off topic.
That's all you
I
do is
am
appeal to
very
authority
much
and
not.
redirect
I am not.
over
Where's
and over
my
again.
authority? Where's my authority? Who am I?
In this
Who am
case,
I
you're just
authorizing in this
redirecting.
case?
In this case,
So now I'm going to redirect. Who am I redirecting to?
So let's go
You made a
back.
claim.
We're
No,
talking
no, no,
about
no, 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 no,
epistemology
no, no,
here.
no, no. You are redirecting. No. You're saying that I am redirecting, and I am specifically answering.
You
your
want to talk
question
about the
on a
importance of
specific
providing
point.
sources and how you've already told me
Yes,
this. And
because yes, I
that's
have.
that's a different
It is
topic than what
not.
we're discussing.
It's not,
Okay.
because when
Let's
you
go
try
back
to
to the topic
confirm
at
something in
hand
the
here.
Bible, specifically about the speed of light, you have to use other sources to corroborate that. You cannot do that. This is my point. So your statement of anything in the Bible being scientific is circumstantial at best. Even if something is scientifically shown to be true in the Bible, because there are fallacies and mistakes in the Bible, it cannot be used as itself as a primary source. You are literally doing an
So it doesn't even
Ouroboros
matter.
effect
It
of
doesn't
a
even matter
circular
if I
argument.
do. So this is your thing. This is what you're doing. Even I won't even, you say there's absolutely nothing in the Bible. There's no science in it. But then you're going to say,
As
okay,
a
I give
primary
an example.
source.
I give an example and I say, well, let's just say even if I was able to demonstrate it, then you say it doesn't matter anyway because it has some fallacies in there. So you can't use it as a primary source. So no matter what I do, Mighty Chicken, it doesn't matter even if I have evidence. If I prove something, you're still going to deny it. Your belief is emotional.
Stop.
You are a religious, emotional
what I'm going to
man.
say. No, I'm not. I'm not a religious man at all. And you are trying to conflate religion as a negative. So I think it's hilarious that you're doing that, because you're saying that you have a negative point of view. So please, I love that argument. If you say I'm religious,
I didn't want to have.
This
is why I didn't want to have an interview with you, because
you're getting
too religious and emotional, and we can't have a constructive conversation.
No, I'm being very constructive. You're not listening to me. To the logic, because your brain is logically contradicting your beliefs right now, and you're having a conflict. So I can get that. I see that.
Here's another example of science that I use in the Bible. and it's
Okay,
very
go
common
for
that I
it.
bring it up, and I think I brought it up this way. It's fair. I brought it up to you before. The Bible
Okay.
talks about how, so years ago, before the telescope, okay, we could look up and we would look at the stars, and it was about probably similar to the time period that you just brought up with that guy. They would write papers back
Okay.
and forth to each other, these scientific dudes, and they'd argue about how many stars in the sky. I think I brought this up in Aaron's thing, okay?
Sure.
And what you have here is they would say, oh no, there's 1576. No, there's 1580. And they were
Yeah.
quote unquote scientists, okay?
Yeah.
The Bible says that the stars are innumerable, that there's so many of them that we won't be able to count them. Okay,
What
so
does
what
it
you
say
have
about
here is,
the stars
see,
in the
you're
Bible
cutting me off again.
specifically?
Cut me off
I'm
again.
so sorry that you're so
Just
wrong.
constantly.
What does
so
the Bible
wrong.
say about their lights in the sky? Are they not?
See, you're redirecting.
No, it's
You're
an answer.
redirecting.
It's a question.
I want to make a point here, and you're redirecting.
I'll let you talk. Go for it.
My point is that relatively recent modern science has confirmed that the stars, does it mean nothing to you, Mighty Chicken? Because I'm sure it does. Because you're going to say it doesn't matter because the Bible says the earth is flat, which is not true. But
Stop putting
therefore,
words in my mouth.
we can't use it as a primary source.
Stop putting words in my mouth.
Oh, because you
Firstly.
haven't put words in my mouth this entire
No.
time.
No, I have not.
Okay.
Don't do that.
So let me ask. So answer my question directly.
I'm not.
Then be
Sure.
one of the few atheists that do. Was the Bible?
Wow. Okay. Are you going to shame me now? Nicely done. Good job.
I
Good
shamed.
job.
I shamed.
Well,
I shamed.
yeah, way to
I
shame the
shamed the
entire
atheist
idea
community
of
in
reason.
general.
Then you're a fool.
I said, are
But
you
that's
going
fine.
to answer my question directly, or are you going to redirect?
So what is your question directly, please, one more time, so I can make sure I answer it exactly to your
The
satisfaction.
Bible says that the stars are innumerable, and that has been confirmed relatively recently. Again, you would disagree with me when by what I mean by
Stop
relatively
putting
recently.
words in my mouth. I just said do not do that and make an
Wasn't putting words
assumption
in your
about what
mouth. I was just
Well, you're going to
reiterating
say
something that you
this,
said
and you're going to
earlier.
say that, and you're going to
Again,
say
here's
this.
the religious.
Don't say that.
Here's the religious, emotional man talking again.
How about you talk
Answer
to
my
me and not
question.
talk to
Isn't-
the people in chat?
Can I
You're
quickly,
the only-
guys?
the only
guys,
person where I
guys,
have-
hold on,
I have-
guys, hold on.
He's
Quickly,
saying some
I want to quickly interrupt. PTown, you have to
Yes.
stop doing that, telling other people what they believe, knowing that it's going to trigger them. It would trigger me. It would trigger probably you as well. If I'm going to tell you what you believe, you would be triggered. So don't tell people. Don't tell people. No, don't tell people what they are going to say. Wait for them to say it, and then you can rebut that in any way, shape, or form. It is entirely dishonest to tell people what they think or what they will say next. That's not
He
okay.
disagrees with me about what relatively recent.
I
means.
agree
That's
with
what
you
he
that
has already said.
that is okay, but
I
he
was
can
just
hold
clarifying
on.
that he.
Time out. You can say that he disagrees with you. Do not speak for him. That's what I'm saying. Okay. While I'm here, I do have a few other questions. One, I'm not sure how you're going to take this, but I have to ask you this question from the chat. Big Mad Mama said, "PTown, your wife made you become a young Earth creationist." That is what you said, right? I'm not aware of this, but maybe you can answer.
No, and I haven't even just straightforward even asked my wife if she's a young Earth creationist. To be honest with you,
That is
partly 'cause I
interesting.
don't want her to go. No,
That's
Yeah.
quite
She
interesting.
definitely knows what I believe. I think that she is, because we'll sometimes have conversations, But
Okay.
I also don't think it's an important topic to her. It's an important topic to me because I do love science, and that was the biggest objection to me coming to the Bible.
Okay.
Because of
I have another
But
question.
For most Christians, it doesn't matter.
I have another question. One for Mighty Chicken this time. So,
Love to hear it.
a friend of mine, Heretic, also called now PRE. I still have to ask him what that stands for.
Oh, sure.
Question: Did Mighty Chicken state that he does not have beliefs? He merely has trust. Can you please explain? As that makes no sense to me.
I reject your statement of merely has trust on principle.
No,
I have trust in everything.
He's asking.
I'm asking. No. I'm answering the question. I'm saying that the formulation of his sentence, because after PTown has said multiple times, I'm an English teacher. Your formulation of your sentence is wrong. It should not just be merely, because that's a denotation of, or a method of showing weakness to the argument. So no, I have high trust. I trust my mother. I trust my cat to a certain level to do what a cat does. I trust my mother to love me even when I'm doing horrible things. I trust my father to be a goofus and a wonderful, wonderful man. I trust my best friend to not shoot me in the back when I'm at the gun range. I trust the things that I learn in school, because people who are a lot wiser and more experienced than me at that time about subjects
I don't trust my
their
dog.
entire lives. Well, I wouldn't trust your dog either because he's adorable.
He's watching Arn too much, so he thinks that he can play.
He's been too excited. But to answer your question in brief, belief is thinking or observing something to have an idea about something else without anything to back it up, any evidence of any kind. Blind faith, if you will. So I don't believe anything. I don't believe in anyone. I don't believe in any deity or a physical object, anything. I don't believe in Big Bang. I don't believe in anything. But I trust the scientists and I trust the people around me who have spent a lot more time than I have doing research into this. And I also trust the fact that I can, if I wish, which I did state to PTown also earlier, just to shoehorn that in, I can, if I wished, do the research. I could go the path of a different education to learn something, to become proficient at a thing, to be able to say something about a thing. I have the ability to do that. Therefore, I trust the things that I read. But if I find contradictions, I do not trust them, because then I start asking questions as to why is this thing contradictory. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so those were the questions. I agree with you, but I usually elaborate a little bit, saying that the word belief,
sure,
when you're talking to a believer,
it's also used by everybody. Yeah.
Well, if you talk to a religious person, the word belief has some baggage, which is why I usually steer away from that word to avoid confusion.
I don't use it anymore too.
But I'll let you guys continue.
Lawrence, I just want to say Lawrence mentioned something really important to me in the chat, because this is something that atheists in general, or the community that I'm communicating with often lately, they're going to assume that because I have faith, it's just I have trust in the Bible. That's not the case. Faith for me, like you said, this word pistis, I guess is the word. I didn't know that, but this proof, the evidence, the reason for what I believe, that's where my faith is rooted.
Okay.
I'm not the best always off the cuff, fresh out of bed, articulating that, but that's how I approach Scripture, and I think that for the man that God made, it's okay for me to say that I'm faithful.
I do want to talk to you about how God made man in a moment, but I also don't want to make it so that I didn't disingenuously did not answer your question about the lights in the sky, which is what the Bible specifically talks about, stars. Yes, I know of what you're referring to, of the fact that it is numerous. I do not know the specific passage. And in fact, I'm sure someone in the chat probably has a better reference to be able to pull that up than I do. I do not know what it says off the top of my head, because I have read the Bible before, but I have not studied it immensely until just recently with the Blasphemers Bible. But the thing is that what the Bible says are stars are lights in the sky. Other religions, such as the Quran, talk about shooting stars as a battle between the jinn or genie or angels, if you want.
You're redirecting again, Mighty.
How am I redirecting?
Address my question.
I just
Okay.
did.
I'll try to be. I'll make it simple for you. Is 1576? Is that a whole lot less than uncountable?
What are you talking about?
What I'm saying is,
1576.
Scientific people used to write papers back and
Oh,
forth arguing about
fuck's
how many stars were in the sky. It was 1576, or was it 1580? Okay. These
Oh,
were
God.
the scientists of the time. Turns out, after the advent of the telescope, especially once we can put telescopes into space, we found out that there's so many. It's ridiculous. We
I
can
forgot
never
that
be
you
able to count
guys-
them. My point is that the Bible was right, not the scientist. Would you
You're wrong
agree
about
with
that.
me?
No, I would
Okay,
not.
tell
That's
me
completely
why.
wrong.
Since you're
I
such a
am.
lover of logic, express it. Instead of redirecting to,
Stop,
oh, the Bible
please.
is just calling them lights. They're
Stop
not
being
calling them
pedantic.
stars. That's a dumb argument.
It's not a dumb argument. It's
It is.
exactly
It's
a strong
redirecting.
one.
It's not.
It's not redirection. Now stop. Now I'll explain what you're saying about the fact that one person said, well, it's actually 1400. Oh, no, actually 1500. Or now we're saying, oh, it's a lot more. Oh, it's a lot more. Oh, it's a lot more. You know what that is called? A progression of time. People learn things over time.
And then they go to their Bible and realize God was right. If you're lucky.
Shut the hell up, please, and let me finish. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is this. When you watch how people learn things through experiences in life, what happens is that they learn things as they keep on going. You go to school to learn more things.
It's like,
no, I'm not. Stop interrupting me.
You're doing just like every other atheist I talk to.
How about
they don't want to address
using
the
your
question.
ears and be an audience and listen and learn something? So what I'm trying to tell you here, again, is that if you start talking with 1400 to 1500 to 1600 to all of these other things, all of those dates, all those stars, for example, are done at different times. Scientists go out of their way to find the best answers to the things that we know at the time. This is called, a word that you hate, the evolution of things. We evolve in language. Our language is not the same that was spoken 2,000 years ago. It's also the evolution of our species. We are also not the same as we were a few thousand years ago. We have also done this with our knowledge, which is a growth upon things that we've learned from other people who've come before us, and we have grown and adapted and changed our opinion. We also at one time thought that there was a planet X, a ninth planet in our system. That was actually shown to be the wobble of Mercury. We didn't even know about Uranus or Neptune. I can't remember which one it is.
All right, we're just so far off of topic that it's just.
I am not off topic.
Boring. You're making me fall asleep.
I don't give a shit. Well, then,
here,
I'm so sorry that you're falling asleep because this is
JL has something that's actually related. He asked, if we can't count them, are they infinite? No, that's a good point too. Another recent discovery, relatively recent, let me clarify, is that the universe is not infinite. To answer your question, it's another confirmation of the Bible. There is a distinction, JL, between uncountable and infinite. Is my to answer your question. Who the hell is
JL?
Sorry, I think that's
who's JL? Who's JL?
My darkened understanding, isn't it JL, or is it?
Who are you talking about right now? You're talking to me.
Kind of. I'm kind of.
Kind of what?
Because you're going off on I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, how about you listen and think about what I'm... No. Think about this. Think about what I'm saying here. I'm referring to how...
You wouldn't address my question, so what's the
I am answering your question right now. I have explained to you already how someone who says that there are only 1,500 stars compared to someone else who says there's 1,400 stars, and they keep changing their opinion over time because they learn more about it, to the modern day when we can say, because of modern technology and telescopes, that the stars are practically infinite from what we can see. Besides, not all stars are stars. Did you know that? There are galaxies that are looking like stars from our vantage point. We have mistaken things in our zodiac, for example, that are actually
that's what I'm saying to you, my Jew. Maybe you'll grasp this. Is that yes?
Oh, I'm grasping it, son.
Yes, let me tell you. The Bible said it first. Can you admit
the Bible did not say anything correct, except for the fact that it was numerous. It's irrelevant because that does not. They talk about lights in the sky.
See, you're missing.
That is not a conflation. That is literally what they're
does
talking about.
infinite
They did not
imply
know what they
eternal?
were. They also said that stars would fall from the sky in Armageddon. The stars can't fall because they're billions of miles plus away. Or, well, they're a hell of a lot more light years away, excuse me. They're so far away, they can't fall. And if you say, oh, well, they're just talking about meteor showers, it doesn't say anything about that.
I don't know. That hasn't happened
I know
yet.
you don't
I don't
know.
know.
I know you don't know.
what
It's
the Bible
okay.
says about that yet. I don't
it's
know
okay.
I don't know. But
I
I'm
know.
looking forward to the day.
You're looking forward to
So-
the death of everyone on the earth. What a piece of shit you are for saying that.
I'm looking forward to meeting my Savior in heaven. Yes.
Oh,
what I'm looking forward
wow. What a dishonest thing to say. You know, I thought I had more respect for you than this, but I don't now, because that is one of the worst things you could possibly say about yourself or anyone else, because you're not giving yourself credit for your own life. That's a real shame. Now, I wanted to talk about something because I did answer your question, and I want to move on to something else here because I don't want to make this all about this one topic.
You don't want to answer my
What
question.
I did answer your question multiple times. What are dinosaurs to you? You said you knew about them before. What are dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs to me?
No, what are they? Not to you. What are they?
This is like I don't even want to answer. I'm so tired of this.
Do you?
Like, a dinosaur
Why?
is a dinosaur. Like
What is a dinosaur? Is a dinosaur?
Yeah, like,
That's
what do you want
your
me to say,
answer?
man?
What
Like,
is
why,
a dinosaur?
a
It's a
dinosaur?
simple question.
What do you want me to say? A dinosaur is a dinosaur. Like, do you want me to talk about their bones? Like, what do you want me to talk? Like, what do you want me to say? My chicken.
Anything? Just say anything. Let's start with that. What do you know about dinosaurs? Start at line 1. Go.
What do I know about dinosaurs? Well, we have found bones in dirt.
That's
Some
a
of them are
start.
pretty big.
Great
Okay,
start.
when you put them
Keep going.
together, there are these animals that we don't have now on Earth. Like, I just so dumb.
No. You're on a roll. Keep going. You're doing a great job. What else do we know about them?
I get it. Like I said in the beginning, dinosaurs are one of my big objections. I still don't fully know. I understand that there's a contradiction according to the Bible.
So this is my
There's
question.
some
I'm gonna
evidence.
ask
There
you because
there
of
is
this.
some evidence when it comes to dinosaurs being. Well, go ahead. I'll let you ask your question first.
I'm gonna be gentle with this, and I'm actually being sincere here. I don't want to have another fight that we've been having. I actually
You're
want to
just
ask
in a
you-
religious,
No,
emotional man, Mighty Chicken. It's okay.
if you say that one more time, I'm done with you, because that is
I
being
would be okay with
dishonest.
that.
You are
Trust me.
dishonest. You are being dishonest to yourself and
It's
to the
the
people
most
who are watching,
truthful
and you're being
thing I can
dishonest
say.
to me.
Guys,
It is not.
guys, can
No,
we?
I was back. I
No,
was
no, no.
trying. Peter,
No.
I was trying to be
I'm
polite.
jumping in. Can we get a little less aggressive? I know, PTown, you're pushing buttons on purpose, and it's great.
Yes, you are.
But we're not interested in having a dumpster fire here. If you want to do that, then you can do that on your channel, PTown. So please keep it cordial, because other people don't notice. I do. But
Well,
Mighty Chicken,
in Mighty Chicken's case, you know, I don't usually like
I'm
this,
still
but
talking. I'm still talking.
Yeah.
I'm still talking. Mighty Chicken, do me a favor and try to keep your emotions in check just a little bit, because this is basically what is desired at the moment. So if you,
I am sorry
if it
for
helps.
losing my temper, but I really have a problem with liars. And
I
people
know
who
I know
misrepresent
that.
things. I
I know
hate
that, but
I'm so sorry for losing my cool.
it is not productive. So
And I will stop doing that. And again, I'm trying to actually ask a serious, honest question here. And I was being sincere when I say I don't want to fight anymore. I just want to ask a series of questions here, because I think this may actually help you. And I'm not meaning this out of meanness.
Maybe I can help. Maybe I can help with the question.
Well,
I
ask my question if it's okay?
Hold on. Let me try if I can help with this. The question you ask, what are dinosaurs? Are you asking PTown or a definition of what a dinosaur is. Is that your question?
What I was asking for was anything that he can tell me about what dinosaurs are to the best of his ability.
Okay.
And I wasn't trying to be a gotcha question. It was more of a just explaining why things are the way they are.
Okay.
Specifically, what I was going for.
I'll let you go again.
Well, I didn't want to go back on that because it was a touchy subject. So I didn't want to. I can go back to dinosaurs if you wish after this. My big question for you, though, is when you see all of these contradictions, and you said that dinosaurs are one of those questions that you have that make it difficult for you to really, come to terms with the Bible. There are so many things in this Bible, in this specific one, let alone all the other books out there, the other religions out there. You can name anything you like. It doesn't matter. All of these different types of belief systems all stem from similar assumptions about the world that we have. And there are so many mistakes and misinterpretations and misunderstandings of every aspect of all these different parts of things we know about our world. So many things that to use the Bible, for example, as the source of, well, this is what happened, is by itself a mistake. Because how would you then be able to know if things were true or not, if there are things shown not to be true and were impossible to be true for a number of different reasons? We have the age of the universe. The speed of light. We have light years between different stars and galaxies and all these different types of things. That takes a physical amount of time that goes beyond the origins of what God said at the very beginning of that he created the heavens and the earth. Well, what about everything else, and also what created God? Because did God just come out of nothing? Well, then that's a magical thing. Magic is something that comes out of nothing by definition. So that's not something that we can verify. That's not something we can confirm. That's not something that we can see. And we can show that all the things that were talked about as magic in the Bible can be explained through multiple different scientific methodologies, including the two staves of Moses and the magician. And so my question for you, most importantly,
so
is
much stuff, Mighty. I don't want to be rude, but it's like you bring up so many topics, and a long time along the way, you just attack and poke. And
I'm not attacking
you. It seems emotional to me rather than logical. Like I don't know how else to be honest with you.
It's not emotional. Now, look, I might be very animated, and as everyone says in the chat, probably I'm very emotional. It's because what's happening here is that the logic that is very clear, and I can break it down. I can even give you papers on things to break it down, the logic, without my own words. You can see it for yourself. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can do all this yourself to confirm the logic of the things that I am saying. Well, that's the important.
I mean, I gave you one example, and you often have time to give you all the hundreds of other examples of how the Bible is scientific. But I give you one, and it's just tossed off to the side, not answered, redirected, and then it's an onslaught of things. When it comes to the fact that the Bible got it right that the stars are uncountable.
Okay, I'm not going to go back on that again, and I'm not going to blow up a third
when
or
it
fourth
comes
time.
to for you to do these blind accusations about how I supposedly believe in magic, because your definition of magic is
I'm not
something comes out of nothing, but
in
reality, you're the one that believes in magic.
I do not believe in magic. I do not believe in the Big Bang. No, I do not.
Okay, well, what do you believe in? Because you're the one.
I don't believe in anything.
Okay, that's right. You did clarify earlier that you. Okay, sorry. You don't like the word believe.
Okay. It's
you
not.
Trust
No.
in the Big Bang. You brought the Big Bang. I don't know.
I trust the things that we know to be true at this time. That the Big Bang is likely the most believable origin of the universe, but that can change.
That would be nothing, or everything came out of nothing. That nothing exploded, and by your definition, that's the definition of magic.
The very first line in
people
Genesis,
that believe in magic.
The very first lines in Genesis state that in the beginning there was nothing, then God created the heavens and the earth. So my question for you is, what came from nothing?
My question to you is,
or yours?
You trust in these people who believe in the Big Bang, where nothing exploded into everything, which is by
That's
your
not
definition
true.
magic.
That's
Okay,
not
so
true.
what is it that you trust in?
Let me jump in. Let me jump in again because I have to
You're
correct
straw manning me on
PTown.
this.
I have to correct you. The Big Bang is not saying that everything came from nothing, but this is something
No.
that has been dealt with over and over again. We have a question, however, from the chat that lines up with all of this. Nitty asks, PTown, how do divine words become physical materials?
Yes.
Oh, come on, Nitty. I mean, God
It's a
said he
se-
made the universe.
It's a serious question.
What, it is what it is. It's a flawed question. I don't.
It's
The
not a
Bible,
flawed question as far as
the
I'm
Bible,
concerned. It makes perfect sense.
the Bible didn't say that God spoke.
Do I really have to open up my Bible to Genesis 1:1 here? I mean, let's go.
Do what you like. I have a lot of notes.
I think it's having read the Bible. I think it's a valid question. But if you don't want to answer it, I mean, that's fine with me.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay, I mean, actually have John 1:1 memorized.
How did he do it?
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him. Without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. To me, John 1:1, when he's referencing the Word, it's clearly Jesus. So there you
There's
go,
a
Nitty.
conflation.
That's a divine word for you, Nitty. Let's go to the next question.
I only had
Nitty's
one,
gonna go
so
make a second P-Town video.
oh
I've got another question.
We do have one. Beach Price said, since PTown knows Hebrew, doesn't it say that God fashioned as like with clay? I think she's referring to the creation of Adam.
You broke up for a second, Peter.
I'm
I
actually
don't
gonna
know Hebrew, by the way.
I'm going to start talking about that,
technology
actually, if
for
that's
that.
all right. May I just go ahead and ask your Beach Price?
Say that God fashioned as with clay.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about fashioned people?
I think she's referring to the creation of Adam.
And the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. A man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put a man who he had formed. That is from Genesis 2. And specifically what they're referring to here is magic. And I know that there's people who, I'm not saying that you're saying this, PTown, so again, this is not directed towards you directly. There are people who you have almost copy-pasted in arguments that have stated that we believe that we all came from rocks as atheists. We do not, firstly. That is a complete fallacy and is completely incorrect. However, by definition, what is dirt and dust?
Really?
I'm really.
Sick of this. I'm just.
I know you are. I know you are,
this
because this is the problem. It's not dumb. These are the problems that you're going to have to confront yourself with.
I got better things to do. This is.
I hope that you. It's actually. I hope
have
very
a proper
fruitful for
discussion,
you.
Mighty, and you want to become, and have an open, honest, heart-to-heart discussion instead of
this is honest,
like one of your second graders. Then
I'm actually treating you like a second grader right now, because second graders know more
clearly
they know more about this than you do.
To tell me what a dinosaur is to your
please
tell me,
because
please
what
tell
you
me
are
what
saying,
dirt is, P-Town.
Yes,
because you're as dumb as one of my second graders. I think
I never said you were done, but you are acting like a second grader in terms of your logic, and that's trying to get you back to
I'd rather go have breakfast with my family. I'm gonna go while the bacon's hot. Peter,
so your
power word is.
So you're running away, P-Town? I didn't expect this. We agreed on doing a show.
I'm very disappointed.
we agreed on doing a show about an hour and a half. So we have 15 minutes left. And you want to throw in the towel? I'm
Unless
sorry.
you,
I mean,
if you want to use the
really,
13 minutes
I mean, if you
me
really
trying
want to,
he wants to know what I think dirt is and
P-Town,
dust is.
P-Town,
What
P-Town, I'm
are we doing
talking.
here?
By
P-Town,
what it says in the
P-Town.
Bible specifically, the one that you say is true.
Guys, I'm talking.
So I couldn't hear you.
I'm talking. Can I talk, P-Town? After all, it's my channel. Can I speak?
Of course, yeah, Peter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is the second time that I've got a problem with you not being a man of your word. I came to your channel and you showed yourself not to be a man of your word. You invited me specifically in the live chat on my last show, denied it when you were live. This isn't a good show for a Christian. If you keep lying to people, agreeing that you're going to do something, and then just doing your own thing. If you want to have breakfast, then please go have breakfast. But this is not a good show. This is not a good show for you as a human being. This is not a good show for you as a Christian. I get it. Mighty Chicken gets heated. I get heated at times, which is, to me, is not a problem. But I also got it that you know exactly which buttons to push in order to excuse yourself from the conversation. He asked you a legitimate question, what you thought a dinosaur was. You didn't even try to answer it. And I'm really disappointed because I was hoping to have a good conversation. I've talked to you about this, and I've talked to Mighty Chicken about this. And this was going to be a good conversation. But if every single time, and this is for both of you, you get aggressive when someone asks you a question, that says more about you than it says about anyone else. And if you try to provoke aggression, P-Town, to me that's even worse. That's just me.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up this other topic instead of having me define what dirt and dust.
It's not about bringing up. It's not about bringing up another topic. P-Town. It's not about bringing P-Town. It's not about bringing up another topic. But if a person like you, who on your channel criticizes a scholar because of his hairdo, I don't think that you have the right to come here and to criticize people on their behavior.
Okay, so
I guess you know what I'm talking about,
Peter.
because this was asked in the live chat earlier, and I didn't want to bring it up. I was hoping that you would come here as an adult, not as a little child who just wants to pick a fight and just wants to run away as fast as possible because someone's asking him difficult questions. So I'm going to ask you, are we going to do this? No, I'm going to ask you, are we going to do this show or are you going to run away? I'm fine with either.
I committed to an hour and a half, and I will. I just thought the time would be more constructive.
Then don't insult me. Then don't insult me because no. Don't insult. No.
I'm trying to apologize to you. Is all I'm trying to do, Peter. If you let me talk for a second.
I'm going to mute you. You're muted now. So if you're going to do this, you're insulting me. I set this up. I set more than one conversation up for you. You want to be insulting to me? Go ahead.
I think. And
I don't want an apology. I want you to keep your word. That's it.
Peter, this whole time, 10 minutes, it seems like I've been trying to say is I apologize because it was not my intent. I didn't know that you were coming on. Was it Thursday? And I'm sorry I gave you the wrong impression. I do appreciate that you've put together some interviews, and I wanted to say
I,
thank you. You
I
also
haven't, I
made
haven't, I haven't
the
watched it.
intro. Thank you.
P-Town. I haven't watched
What's
it,
that?
but it was told to me that the guy who had to leave on your channel stayed there an hour after he said that he had to leave after I left to just go over the thing that I wanted to present. To me, that is dishonesty. You allowed that. And I'm fine with that. And I'm going to wait for you to invite me. This is my show. You committed to something. You're going to say mid-show, I'm going to run away. Then we're done for good. Just wanted to have that out there.
Sorry,
You
when it
made
comes
an
to
agreement with me, not with Mighty Chicken, with me. So I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to let it go. You can talk, or you can go away. I'm fine with either. Because now I'm mad, and this shouldn't have happened. Go ahead.
Okay, Peter. So power word is going.
We're not going to talk about power anymore. Nope. You're going to talk.
Right.
Your conversation is.
I don't know what to talk about.
Your conversation is with Mighty Chicken, not with me.
Mighty Chicken. Look, I do want to tell you that I usually am pretty cordial when I talk to people. There was part of, I didn't come in here with any intent to talk about a particular topic or any malintent. But in some very rare cases with some people, I will demonstrate that I can push buttons. I can push back. And in your case, it was my fault today that I triggered you, and I did on purpose at cases. But
Yes, I know you did.
The true, and I know it's not the way to win people as a Christian, because whether or not I'm able to fully use logic and science and reason to persuade people as a Christian is, even if you're able to do it to a really high level, it still doesn't typically work. What really gets people's attention as a Christian is being generous and kind in your demeanor and demonstrating love. And I know this. In some very rare cases, I will push back because I can play the other game, and I did tonight with you. My reasons for doing that with you are partly because are genuine when I say that I do think that your disdain for Christianity and for what I believe, and I know it hurts, but I understand that it is rooted in logic, and it is rooted in a scientific approach. But I would argue that there's a huge influence that is also emotional. And I don't know your story, and I was hoping that we could get to that, but that's partly why I triggered that tonight. And I wanted to apologize and take a huge portion of the blame. Because
I have a challenge for you. I have a challenge for you in the future. I actually entered this chat quietly, and I asked you questions right from the very beginning. And within about the first 2 sentences, you automatically made the assumption that I was triggered about something, that I was being aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person. Actually, I'm a very calm person. And not that it matters, and this is just complete my life experience here. My kids love me, the students do. And it's not because I'm an emotional guy. I have emotions like everyone else. But whenever someone deliberately appears or does, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say appears, okay, just to be polite here, to be intentionally dishonest or disruptive for the sake of it and nothing else, to fire somebody up. A long time ago when I was young, I used to always apologize and say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But people walked all over me. So whenever I hear people talk to me now who come from a position that I perceive to be dishonest because of whatever reason there might be, regardless if I'm right or wrong, I stand my ground and I keep them on subject until it's resolved. The problem is that you have a skill of being able to pull people like myself into the pin, and you keep on doing the same things you do. I'm not sure why. I'm not going to assume why you do that, but you are very good at putting me into the dirt, and you got me riled up. And I feel bad that this exploded because that was not my intention. I actually came with a lot of questions and we got through a lot of them, but I wanted you to really answer these things, not because I'm trying to attack you or attack your beliefs or anything about you. I'm trying to see if you can reflect on all the possible issues that you might see and ask yourself honestly, what's the better position to have? Because my life is just as fulfilled if I had a God or not. And I would say actually even more so. Not because there's a God that's actually existed that I reject. I don't do any of that. I am a literal lack of belief. I don't have a religion, as you stated, and you use that as a way of getting under my skin, something that Kent Hovind does. And if you don't know who he is, I'd be surprised, but he's a person who uses that argument all the time, and it's really irritating. Things get under my skin when people are intentionally trying to be dishonest, and I can recognize it. And the problem is that the things that you were talking about today, most of the time, were rooted in being dishonest by your premise. Logical, philosophical. I was answering your questions multiple times. I did answer your question about the stars multiple times. I also tried to add extra aspects to it to explain the reasons why that was explained. And I hope that you have an opportunity to really hear what I was saying and understand it. And if you want to talk to me privately, I'll share some of those information pieces with you. I don't have an issue with you personally, except when you start to say things that are not true, that we can confirm to be true to the best of our knowledge now. And that's the position that I come from. And I talked down to you as a student because what you were talking about and how you were talking to me was the same as a snot-nosed second grader who was talking to me earlier. And I don't wish to belittle you for that. It was coming from an academic point of view where you were in error and I was showing you the answers, but you were having a tantrum. Unlike with the students, which I would not lose my temper with because they're children, you're an adult. You have a family. So I don't treat you in the same way. I treat you as an adult. But I will still make sure that you answer questions like the one that you didn't answer. And I was not trying to be pedantic when I said, what is soil and what is a rock? The reason I asked that question is because how it's described in the Bible expresses how Adam was created from the soil, from rocks, which is what dirt and soil is. And soil itself actually has other things like nutrients, bugs, plants, things like that, because that's what we actually can physically see. Not all the time, but for the most part, that's what we have. We can verify that. You can go outside into your garden and do the same thing. Microorganisms and things of nature, which were not known about. The smallest thing that's mentioned in the Bible is a mustard seed. They didn't know about germs and things like that too. But because the soil was something that God had, and the trees were planted in it, trees require nutrients to grow, unless it's just magic, like you say, or not you say, but as it's described to seem to be. It appears to be magic because it came out of nothing. That is what we call magic. So death had to already occur before Eve took the first bite, because nutrients in the soil are decomposed organisms and plant matter and things like that, that nitrogen, for example, goes into trees and plants to grow. By definition, this is a story. It cannot be true because of the things that we know how humans are made. Humans are not made from dirt. We have no dirt in us unless we eat it or, we get dirty. So we couldn't come from that. Eve is obviously, women are not ribs or made of ribs. Because a rib is a combination of multiple different types of molecules and things that make up what a rib is. So the problem that I have, and the reason I asked you that question, was not to demean you, but to make you see this from a logical point of view, because it is in definition an error to assume that this is true when we have facts that we can show to be true that are testable on how something has to be or how something can be to the best of our ability right now to know. Things change, we learn, we grow. Science is all about growing, taking the things that we knew from before, adapting them, changing them, and then trying to see what the best answer is going to be. And when you stop that process and you start to assume answers because a book tells you so, then that is an error. I would say the same thing about a science book. If I was on a desert island and I had one science book, but I knew somehow that there were going to be errors in that book, but then there was a way for me to be able to make a boat in there to get off that island, is it logical to assume that if that's the only source I have and I have no prior knowledge of how to make a boat, is that a reliable source for me to use to trust that that boat is going to get me to safety? Or do you think there might be an error in there somewhere where I might sink to the bottom and die? It's the same with the Bible. So I talk about sources a lot. That's why I brought it up a second time, not to dissuade or detract from what you were saying. It is a point because so often that I've even heard you say is the Bible is true because the Bible, not those specific words, but you have alluded to a lot of things like that. It's on video. And that is an error of logic by its base. It's an Ouroboros, the snake eating the snake, a circular argument. Because how can you know that something is true if you only have that source to go by? And just because other things outside can confirm certain parts of the Bible, that's circumstantial. Simply because the fact that other things are required to do that, it doesn't mean that the book itself is in itself a primary source that can be used logically. Because we do know that there are things in there that are simply not true. Impossible. Like what I just mentioned about the rock on the soil, just an easy one. So this is why I get frustrated with some of the things that you say, and why I get so frustrated and angry. I was angry because what you were doing was blatantly denying the logic that I presented to you. And you are not allowing yourself to recognize, it seems to me, the reality of what we can show to what a book says. And I really hope that that's clear. I hope that you understand why I say what I say. And I hope that you'll be able to take that with you and at least allow you the opportunity to really think about the things that you say that you knew before, the things that you learned in school. I also have no idea what level of education you have. That's not what I care about. It's more just, what is your level of critical thinking? And will you be able to take from this value from the things that I say to really look and ask yourself some serious questions? Is this really the best path for me to take? Do I really want to live my life teaching my children and my family and living my life things that I don't know for a fact can actually be verified? Is that the best way to go? Or is it better to not have any assumptions and express and teach our next generation of people the best things that we can to the best of our knowledge and ability without any assumptions tied in? That's where I sit. I want to be as true as I can be. And not truth, but I want to say the most true things I can to the best of my ability, to the knowledge that I have and the things that I have learned. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I make errors all the time. Lawrence can definitely attest to that on some of my Egyptology stuff, which is embarrassing. But I'm also willing to make an admission to the fact that I do make errors, and I will correct them. And I'm very open-minded. I'm not closed-minded. I do not have a hardened heart, unless, of course, all the cheeseburgers I might use, but that's not the point. I do not carry with me any base belief. I am at the null point. I do not have anything that I follow. I am not a part of a religion. Atheism is not a religion. It is a complete absence of anything, and we live in the world as we see it. And I find such wonder and awe of the place that I live in every single day. So I know I've been talking a long time, and thank you very much for being patient. And I will do the same respect to you. I will not interrupt you. But I do hope that you are able to understand this point of view and understand why people are able to live their lives and grow in this way. I'm done.
Look, I'll just jump to it. I'll jump to the important parts of what you said. Um, I think that the Bible is vastly scientific. I think if you take the approach that Newton outlined, and there's a reason why he invested so much time into studying the Bible, because it predicts the future. It does these things in advance, and you, by doing this, you can see that God wrote it from outside of our time domain. He wrote it so it could reveal truth to us as we learn more truth. And just because you think that it's impossible for God to make humans, make a man out of the soil or out of the dust of the earth, doesn't make all those other revealed scientific discoveries to be invalid or circumstantial, quote unquote. I believe that we should take the evidence for one party and weigh it against the evidence of another party. And when you do this with an honest and truthful heart, and you put all of your reservations aside, which includes emotions, right? Which includes not being condescending towards someone or something. It includes not just constantly appealing to authority. When you do these things with an open heart and you approach the Bible and you ask Jesus to come into your heart and life and reveal himself to you, magical things happen and your mind is rejuvenated with the truth. And that is my honest expression to you, Mighty Chicken. I hope everybody has a good night. I guess, wait, it's still morning over here.
Yes, it is.
It's nice doing these in the morning, to be honest with you. Next time I'll have to not wait until 5 minutes for the show to wake up. But look, I'll be honest, people love a dumpster fire, but
I
the
didn't want
reason why
one.
the reason why I pushed back on you, Mighty, is because you were insulting me. You were condescending the entire time. You're asking. You admitted that you wanted to treat me like a second grade because that's how you view me. And I sometimes, in very rare cases, will demonstrate that I can push back. But like I said a minute ago, I genuinely do like you, and I can see that the kids love you in school, that you are a kind person, but religion does trigger you. So I don't take it personally. I would like to know you personally since we're neighbors, pretty much. I can see your island from my house, almost. And there's no harm, no foul taken from this. These are important discussions to have, especially if emotions are involved. Um, we're talking about the most important thing, the most important question that you can ever ask, and that is how should we approach knowledge and logic, and where did we come from, and where are we going after we pass away?
Nowhere.
This is
And that's okay, because I was living fine for billions of years before in oblivion. I can do it again after I'm gone.
well, I'm hoping that by the time our time together is over with, your view will change.
It will not, because there's nothing so far that's ever shown me that that's different than anything else to be true. And I'm also very, very, very sad that everything that I just said for the last 10 minutes or so did not seem to get through to you. And you just took it as if I was being condescending, calling you a second grader. I don't know how I'm going to be able to reach you, because you are intentionally forcing yourself to not listen to reason. So I don't know how to go and approach this from now on. And I'm going to be calm about this.
Condescending and insulting is what
You're being condescending and insulting to me since the very second that you opened your mouth today. So it's disappointing to me that that was the approach that was taken, because I'm not trying to condescend to you. I'm an educator. I'm a teacher. I teach people things. I'm not perfect. And if I don't know something, I seek it out too, because I want to learn from people who know better than me. I have a teacher, a principal actually, who lives a few houses away from me, who I can't remember where he taught, but he was a very big inspiration to me. And a few months back, when I decided to go back and attempt to get my doctorate, I'm going towards a master's and then to a doctorate. He gave me some serious advice on how to talk to people. And the things I learned from him became so incredibly invaluable to me for his wisdom and experience as a teacher and educator that I have such incredible respect for that man. And I want to give you a little bit of an interesting note here too. He's Christian. So when you come at me, riling me up, saying these things, as you said, knowing what buttons to press to get under my skin to cause that dumpster fire, because everyone loves a dumpster fire, I will give you props. Congratulations. You succeeded at doing that, but you did it in a very disingenuous and condescending way. And I did not come here.
I fully disagree with you. You called me son. You asked me childlike questions. You called me a
Okay, I'm going to step in. I'm going to hold on. No.
I'm not getting involved with
this. Talk to your buddy
no.
Guys, I'm going to step in right now. We're not going to do this again. We've went a little longer because I was hoping to get to a level where a conversation would still be possible. I'm really sad that didn't work. Please, both of you, stick around until after the intro. I want to thank everyone who has dropped by, and sorry, this was a little bit different than things usually go, but who knows? We might be able to fix this after all and see if we can do this another time. Maybe on a lighter note. In the meantime, we're talking to more guests. I'm hoping to do another show at least next week. So stick around. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and click the bell so you won't miss a show. We'll see you all on the next one.